Everybody, welcome to Vince on a Friday. It is so good to have you with us, the best audience anywhere. We have breaking news this morning, of course. The President of the United States announcing that the assassin, the suspect who's believed to have assassinated Charlie Kirk, has been taken into custody overnight. He's been captured. We've got the details ahead. And for those of you who are joining us live on Rumble, yes, we will carry this FBI press conference set to take place momentarily. So stay with us here. Stay locked in. We're going to have it all. Glad to have you with us this morning. I want to thank the great sponsors who do make this show possible each and every day and support conservatives like us, whether as a hedge against inflation or just sensible diversification. Birch Gold Group believes that every American should own physical gold, and they want to make it easy for you. Until September 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, request an information kit now. Just text Vince to 989898. Plus, Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you're still eligible for a rebate in free metals of up to $10,000. Make right now your first time to buy gold. Take advantage of this amazing rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by September 30th. Take care of yourself and your family. Just text my name, Vince, to 989898. Claim your eligibility today. Again, text Vince to 989898. Message and data rates apply. We do begin today with this breaking news that the suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk has been captured. We now have a couple of details about him, and it's all going to be emerging more in a press conference just in moments as we're carrying this live. Tyler Robinson is the name of the suspect, 22 years old, from Utah, and they say that his father and a minister and a local U.S. Marshal were all involved in bringing this suspect in overnight. A lot of developments overnight. The President of the United States was the man to break this news this morning, appearing on the Fox News channel. Here's what the President said live on television, cut one. Look at this.
I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But, yeah, I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President.
And he's in custody.
He's in custody. The president announcing that to that couch full of hosts on Fox who had no idea what he was about to say. They started, I think, with a little bit of small talk. He got right into a major announcement, and now we are getting a major announcement. Here is the FBI, Kash Patel,
and gentlemen,
and others stepping up. Take a listen here.
At today's press conference, we will hear from Governor Cox, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Sheriff Mike Smith. We also have with us Utah DPS Commissioner Bo Mason, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, FBI Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, and local and federal law enforcement partners. Following the remarks today, Governor Cox, Director Patel, and Commissioner Mason will take questions. Thank you.
Waiting on remarks. Everybody's getting assembled here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I'll share that with you now.
This is the transgender message, allegedly.
So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, ? Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, !" catch, ! Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow," and a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who's worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in such a short amount of time to find this person and to bring justice. I want to thank the public who has been so engaged, reviewing videos, helping us with sending in tips, and helping us get to this point. I want to thank the family members of Tyler Robinson who did the right thing in this case and were able to bring him into to law enforcement as well. I especially want to thank the family of Charlie Kirk, Erica, Charlie's parents, his children. I want us to be thinking of them as we bring justice in this case. They will be involved in that justice. We will be working very closely with them as we move through this process as well. This is a very sad day for our country, a terrible day for the state of Utah. But I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history. With that, I will now turn the microphone over to the director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Kash, who did not speak last night at the press conference. They were hot on this guy's trail.
Thank you, Governor. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, and I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. Governor Cox, our partnership has been absolutely incredible these last few days. Our partnership will endure. Your state and local partners, your sheriffs, your DPS community has been unbelievably impressive in the hardest of times. And a case like this cannot be solved, cannot be brought without partnering with your state and local authorities. The FBI has a certain role to play. We will play that role, and we will lead out for the federal government. Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your state partnership that led out on this investigation. A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene. The FBI immediately launched fixed-wing assets. We utilized these assets to transport personnel, specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilized these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico and other laboratories, including the ATF. At my direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m. local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local. Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m., where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media, and you, the public. That's why we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent. We're committed to that transparency. The crime scene, just a little bit there. It is a large crime scene. State and local authorities, along with federal authorities, processed that crime scene quickly. And I even had the ability to walk through that crime scene and walk through the steps the suspect took to learn more about what was needed and what resources we needed to bear to create a full picture for the FBI and leadership back in Washington. Furthermore, thankfully to state and local partners, forensic evidence has been seized and continues to be garnered. Forensic evidence has already been evaluated at FBI laboratories in Quantico and state and local authorities here. We will continue to process evidence as we see it, as we collect it, and we will continue to deliver to Governor Cox and his team. Last night, we had a total of approximately 7,000 leads.
7,000 tips.
As of this morning, thanks to your great work, we have over 11,000 leads that were called in to the FBI. And we are running out every single lead that we can.
Amazing.
Every one of those leads will be run out. The arrest is a testament to the dedication of good law enforcement being great and partnerships in law enforcement, which I've tried to highlight as my tenure as the director of the FBI. There is no better relationship for law enforcement and the FBI to partner with state and local authorities, and you've seen it here in these last few days. The FBI Salt Lake field office, along with our offices in LA, Phoenix, Denver, San Antonio, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, our headquarters component in Quantico, all participate in the FBI. I want to express my deep gratitude to the employees of the FBI, the men and women, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff. You have done monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call diligently, critically important to our nation, and we delivered. And I'm proud to be their leader, and I'm proud to be the director of the FBI. This is a very much an ongoing investigation, as the governor said, and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need for their ongoing prosecutions. And we will be here to answer every call they absolutely have, as long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you, and good morning. I would just like to take a few minutes as the sheriff to express my gratitude
Cash is a good man.
for everybody who has played a part in this investigation. As you know, it's been a vast, complicated, and a very, very fast-paced investigation. You're looking at people standing up here who are running on, if they got an hour's sleep in the last couple of days, they're probably lucky. It has been very taxing. It has been so impressive, speaking on behalf of the local law enforcement, to see the cooperation that we've seen in this type of case. Across the state, sheriffs, chiefs, our state partners have stepped up and have come to the call on anything that we needed. Our county chiefs have been phenomenal. Our Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, who's standing up here with us, has been phenomenal in leading us through this investigation. I would like to thank the federal government for their resources, their assets. Our local team here, our FBI team, has been extraordinary in helping us work through this and bring this person to justice. Most of all, I would like to thank the public, and specifically, I would like to thank the public who turned to prayers and who turned to positiveness for us. I would like to thank them on behalf of the law enforcement community, because we needed those prayers. That's what we needed to get through this. We needed your support, and you gave it to us. We needed your patience, and you gave it to us. And I would like to thank you for the Kirk family, because that's what they need, is your support and your prayers, and that will get us through all of this. So thank you, everybody, for everybody that has stepped up. We've had such a phenomenal response to this. Thank you.
I also want to give a special thanks to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. Their unwavering support and their commitment to justice is shown true here. And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the resources they brought to bear, we would not have been able to complete our mission. And I just want to say special thanks. It's an honor to be a part of the Department of Justice.
Thank you again to our incredible law enforcement team who has worked so hard. Sheriff, I got a solid 90 minutes last night, so I'm probably the most well-rested person up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I get the microphone, so I hope you'll permit me a moment just to share a few more thoughts about where we are and how
This is Utah Governor Spencer Cox.
maybe a little bit of where we go from here. I don't want to get too preachy, but I think it's important that we, with eyes wide open, understand what's happening in our country today. I've heard people say, well, why are we so invested in this? There's violence happening all across our country, and violence is tragic everywhere. and every life taken is a child of God who deserves our love and respect and dignity. This is certainly about the tragic death, political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals. This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence for lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act, makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. Even, especially those ideas with which you disagree. That's why this matters so much. Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been. And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back. I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. He's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit. He said, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. A few months ago, I referenced this last night, Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember, internet fury is not real life. It's going to be okay.
That's the Christian take. That's the adult
He then said,
take.
when you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to commit violence. He said, what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable agreement, where violence is not an option. Now, again, to my young friends out there, you are inheriting a country where politics feels like rage. It feels like rage is the only option. But through those words, we have a reminder that we can choose a different path. Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now. Not by pretending differences don't matter, but by embracing our differences and having those hard conversations. I think we need more moral clarity right now. I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here. And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable.
We have to be careful here.
And
The
yet
left, though, has
all of
inflamed
us
these weak and
have an
vicious
opportunity
minds.
right now to do something different. I want to thank my fellow Utahns. This bad stuff happens. And for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I hoped for. Just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here. And it was one of us. But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire.
That's right.
There was no violence.
That's right.
There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity.
That's conservatives.
That, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes. Because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse.
Yes, that's right.
But see, these are choices that we can make. History will dictate if this is a turning point for our country. But every single one of us gets to choose right now if this is a turning point for us. We get to make decisions. We have our agency.
Yeah.
And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, MAGA, all of us to please, please, please follow what Charlie taught me.
Christ.
I'll just conclude with words I share often from a friend and author, Yuval Levin, who was asked if he was optimistic about our country. And he said, I'm not optimistic. He said, I hate optimism. God, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. He said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He said, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. And hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country. And I know Charlie Kirk believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Governor, can you please speak to whether the suspect is speaking with authorities and his demeanor, Tyler Robinson, when he turned himself in?
I cannot speak to that.
Governor, how do you interpret his motivation? Governor, how do you interpret the engravings on the case of
Well, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not, and by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. I think that speaks for itself.
It's Antifa.
So you talked about this level of hatred that this person expressed at a dinner. Beyond that, is there anything in your view that you've discovered that may have radicalized or changed him to prompt him to commit such a horrific act?
There's nothing more that we can share at this time.
Governor, you indicated that he had been communicating with a friend on Discord about the gun. Do you anticipate any more arrests?
We do not at this time have any information that would lead to any additional arrests.
Do you believe he acted alone?
Yes, but the investigation is ongoing.
Can you talk more about the family, what they had to say about the suspect?
How he came into custody of police and where he is?
Yes, so right now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that he was taken into custody, that his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. Those of you that don't know where Washington County is, it is the southwesternmost part of the state of Utah. It's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from here.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to dip back into this in just a moment. We are learning a lot right now just about the killer, the suspect who's now in custody. That's Tyler Robinson, 22 years old. They talked about establishing the gray Dodge Challenger he used. They talked about how they were tracking the clothing that he was wearing. He confessed to his father that he was the killer. The father was involved in turning Tyler Robinson in. That all happened transpiring last night, overnight. I can tell you that I know this morning that these guys definitely did not sleep last night. They were working throughout the night. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino working tirelessly over the course of the last 33 hours to bring this guy into custody. And again, in 33 hours now, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson taken into custody as the suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. All of the evidence pointing to him. We will bring back that press conference in just a moment. I do want to thank our great sponsors who make this broadcast possible. You know those myths that we hear, like cold weather gives you a cold? We only use 10% of our brains? Well, here's another one, thread count. Many believe higher thread count means better sheets, but it's really just a measure of fabric density. And when it comes to sheets, the thread quality matters more than the count. That's where Boll & Branch comes in. I've been sleeping a lot better on my new sheets. They use the highest quality organic cotton, making them soft and durable. Plus, they get even softer with every wash. It's more than the number of threads. It's about comfort and long-lasting quality. So if you're looking for sheets that combine luxury and durability, Boll & Branch is the way to go. Your sleep will thank you. Feel the difference an extraordinary night's sleep can make with Boll & Branch. Get 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/Vince. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com/Vince to save 15% and unlock free shipping. Exclusions apply. Visit bollandbranch.com for details. Also want to thank Patriot Mobile for sponsoring this program and supporting conservatives, supporting the very ideas that we are trying to advance every single day, regardless of how the left feels about it. You know, I realize there are a lot of choices out there for cell phone services. Patriot Mobile, they're fighting for us. They fight for the things that we believe in. They believe freedom is worth fighting for. And they're leading the way in the technology race as well. Patriot Mobile is one of the only carriers with access to all 3 major U.S. networks. That means exceptional nationwide coverage, along with the ability to have multiple numbers on different networks, all on a single smartphone. That's what I have, thanks to Patriot Mobile. Total game changer. They have unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, internet backup, and so much more. Switching, it's easier than ever. Activate in minutes from the comfort of your home. Keep your number, keep your phone, or even upgrade. It's time to make that switch today. Go to patriotmobile.com/Vince or call 972-PATRIOT. Use that promo code Vince for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Vince or call 972-PATRIOT. Let's check back in here on this press conference, what they've got going on, because we are learning a bunch of new details. This man has been captured, taken into custody. Thank goodness. A little bit more from Governor Spencer Cox here in Utah.
Clarify that the release of those enhanced images at 8 p.m., the timeline that Director Patel gave us, led to the arrest at 10 p.m. Is there a direct connection between those two events?
I cannot comment if there is a direct connection or not, but all I can say is that that through some process, the family came to know that this had happened.
One more thing, Governor. Could you just clarify the clothing issue you mentioned earlier? Was he changing outfits?
Correct.
Could you just clarify this?
Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UVU. Last question here.
You said that the suspect was from Utah. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about Where, and was he a student here at this university? And is there any history of mental illness?
Yeah. So I don't have any information on the mental illness part. He was not a student here at UVU. He was living and had lived for a long time with his family in Washington County. Thank you, everyone, for your great work in getting this information out. I would just say, process-wise, this may be important. I know many of you aren't familiar with the process in Utah. I think it's important that you understand that. Basically, we have 3 days for charging documents to be filed. A CI will be filed. We'll have more information then, more detailed information as those charging documents are filed in preparation for a preliminary hearing. So 3 days. So, we would anticipate then that early next week, those charging documents will be filed. We will obviously be working, the county attorney will be working very closely with Mr. Kirk's family as those documents and decisions are prepared and made. Thanks, everyone.
All right, and that looks like that's it. I mean, it looks like people are walking away here. The various authorities, to include Kash Patel, you see him there, the FBI director, walking out, and that's a big hearing. We were kind of on the lookout for the FBI deputy director, Dan Bongino, who's obviously very involved in all of this. He went yesterday to visit the crime scene, and as clearly things were winding towards this big event, which is that this shooter, this suspect, has been taken into custody. And we do have some of the mug shots. Well, a couple of things. Tyler Robinson, as I pointed out, confessed. That's a big deal that they have a confession. Additionally, the mug shots here of the assassin have been released. This is Benny Johnson who's sharing this. You get multiple mug shots of the guy released, so taken into custody right away, and they've got him. I do want to remind you that there's an element to this, which is there were a lot of people sharing artificial intelligence generated images that were allegedly, the claim was that they were cleaning up the shots, that they were like, oh, we've enhanced the shots. The effect of that AI stuff was not to enhance the shots. That's what we call generative AI. It just invented faces for the guy. And if you compare now the actual mugshots to some of that AI generated garbage, you'll realize that that's exactly what it was. And I hate that because it misled people into believing that, okay, I got to find somebody who looks exactly like this. And that's not what it was. In fact, here's a guy who literally tweeted out the comparison. I mean, look at this thing. The generative AI does not look like him at all. And that's because people were literally just generating artificial intelligence images. It just doesn't work. That's not going to happen. So just to give people some clarity there. And also to try and to stop any conspiracy theories from being born out of the generative AI being like, that's a different person. Well, yeah, no kidding. It's a fake person. It doesn't even exist. Okay. We've got a lot of things that have happened in the last 24 hours. Obviously, the President of the United States just revealed all of this morning on the Fox News channel. He revealed, yeah, we've got a suspect in custody. And here's the president detailing some of what we just heard, cut to, about a minister and the suspect's father turning him in. Take a listen. Here's the president.
Essentially, somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him in. They said, whoa. It's interesting where we had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it.
I hope the church of that minister gets the $100,000 reward from the FBI. Wouldn't it be amazing if the capture of Charlie Kirk's assassin led to a church receiving $100,000 as a reward for that capture. I think that would be the most appropriate course of action. We'll see what happens with that. But there's the president of the United States saying it was a minister of all people, God bless him, being involved in this and figuring out, okay, who are we dealing with here? This is why we've seen so many requests to the public in the last few days. You heard from the FBI director, Kash Patel, in that press conference saying that they received tens of thousands of tips from Americans like you, like us, who were just trying to figure out ways to help, who were combing through the digital data, who were there on the scene, who had videos on cell phones, who knew that guy looks like somebody I know. People sending in thousands upon thousands of tips. In other words, the nation rallied to Charlie Kirk's defense. The very same people who all across the internet and all across our country fought so hard to get President Trump into office now on multiple occasions, fought so hard to track down and capture Charlie Kirk's killer. And this morning we have the good news that in just 33 hours, they now have this man in custody. If for any of you who are out there who played any role whatsoever in helping the FBI bring this to an end, God bless you. Thank you. We can see it's paying off, and this is the pursuit of justice now for Charlie's family and our country. The governor, Spencer Cox, and of course the president of the United States this morning, he reiterated this point. They've been saying that what needs to happen here is the death penalty, and I can't agree more. We need the death penalty in this case for this man and for what he did. And in Utah, they have on the books firing squads for the death penalty in Utah. If there's ever time to use firing squads, it would be here. Get a speedy conviction. The guy has already confessed. They say the confession was made to his father. Let's see what authorities can get out of him further, or what they've already gotten out of him. But it needs to move quickly. It can't drag on. The president said this morning on Fox that this thing can't go on for 3.5 years before the trial even begins. The country needs to see consequences now for this type of disruption to our civic life, for this type of attack on our Constitution, on our republic, and on the people who express these ideas. And I heard Spencer Cox lay out all of the ways that Charlie Kirk was attacked, not only Charlie Kirk the man, but the ideas that he was expressing. And let me add one other that I didn't hear him say with clarity, but perhaps he did, but I'll just say it here. This was also an attack on Christianity. Charlie Kirk was a spokesman for the Word of God in everything that he did. It fueled his political commentary, and he expressed it constantly. Any attack on Charlie and the ideas that Charlie expresses is an attack on his innate Christianity. That is a hate crime insofar as anyone can establish one. There you go. It's an attack on a Christian for being Christian and for expressing that truth out loud. That man hated him for that. That's the message we got today from Spencer Cox as he laid out that he hated Charlie Kirk, that he was expressing it to family members and over Discord, his utter loathing and his desire to kill Charlie. Okay. In a moment, I'm going to bring in a Republican congressman. I want to get his reaction to all of this, all of the news we're learning. Congressman Randy Fine will be with us. We are learning a lot this morning. Again, rumble.com/Vince. If you're watching live, we have a very busy live show. And of course, on the podcast, you'll be able to gather all of this really important information about what we've learned about the man who killed Charlie Kirk in the pursuit of justice here. Stand by. Congressman Fine will be with us in just a moment. First, you should know more and more Americans are prioritizing their wellness, getting back in shape. Studies prove that strength training alone does so much more to help burn fat than cardio alone. And I've been working with Don and the team over at Jacked Up Fitness for a couple of months now. They're fantastic. Let me tell you, these guys know what they're doing. Their all-in-one home gyms are already best in class. Trust me, I have one. But now their new X Series takes home fitness to the next level. The Power Rack Extreme Functional Trainer lets you do hundreds of exercises, basically everything you would do at the gym, right from your spare room or your garage. Want more? The Power Rack Pro X features a fully upgraded cable crossover system with articulating pulley arms for unlimited width combos. You're going to hit every muscle group. And if you're new to this, no worries. They've got a free Get Jacked Up video program. Just press play and follow along. No more excuses. Let's do it together. Go to getjackedup.com. Use the promo code Vince. Save 10%. That's getjackedup.com. Our thanks to to Jacked Up Fitness. And our thanks also to Blackout Coffee, which fuels me every single morning. They should fuel you too. They're the official coffee of all of us here at Silverlock. And the reason is because they're bold, unapologetic, America First coffee, roasted fresh right here in the United States. Not grocery store junk. Blackout Coffee delivers rich, high-quality roasts that do taste like freedom. And now you can set it and forget it with auto refill and recurring delivery. No more running out, no more watered-down backups, just your favorite roast. Delivered fresh on your schedule. Pick your favorite roast, how often you want it delivered. And not only will you get a discount, you also get double the rewards and free shipping to your doorstep. So do what I do. Drink a delicious cup of coffee. Blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Use the code Vince. That's VINCE. Get 20% off your first order. Whether you're into bold roasts, flavored coffee, or even instant, Blackout's got your back. Real coffee, no compromise. Blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Get yours now. Joining us right now on the program from Florida, Congressman Randy Fine is here. Congressman, thank you for being with us today, sir.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Congressman, I just want to get your reaction to the breaking news developments this morning. A 22-year-old suspect from Utah being taken into custody. The hunt for Charlie Kirk's killer appears to have concluded in just 33 hours. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, look, my heart's still broken for what happened to Charlie and his family, but frankly, for the entire country. I mean, this is a Rubicon that has been crossed, a political assassination, not of a politician, but just of someone who is speaking out. I'm relieved to hear they believe they've caught the killer. I want to know exactly what his motivations were, and just no matter what they are, I agree with you. The death by firing squad, and a quick one at that, is needed to send a message that this is unacceptable. And frankly, I hope that when he is executed by firing squad, that it is broadcast live for everyone to see. People need to understand there are consequences if you behave this way.
Congressman, we now know some aspect of the motive. We know that inscribed onto the bullets themselves were all sorts of hateful messages directed at Charlie, and messages that said that he was Antifa, which is obviously a very radical left-wing operation that's been causing a lot of chaos in our country. The President of the United States indicated this morning that it's long past time for a full-blown RICO investigation into the radical left and all of this violence. What do you make of that component?
Well, I'm not surprised. And I think that we are dealing with a civilizational struggle against an enemy that believes that they are so right that they can advance their cause by any means necessary. They believe in violence. It is core to their views, and we have tolerated it in our country for far too long. And now we need to bring the full force of the government down to crush it. I'm going to be filing a bill that's going to require protesters to disclose who is funding them. You have the right to peaceably assemble in this country, but we have the right to know who's behind it. Just like the right you have to run for office, but people have the right to know who your contributors are. I did 81 events in my district during the August recess. I had protesters at about 12, and it was clear that they were all paid, every single one of them. Well, who is financing this and why, and what is their objective? Because we are seeing people be radicalized and America be ripped apart by, I believe, radical left actors and our foreign enemies. And I think you end up with what we saw with Charlie Kirk.
What role do leaders on the left have in the violence that we're seeing? Governor Cox was making, I think, a relevant and good point, which is that words themselves are not violence. But we've seen a lot of leaders, establishment leaders on the left, who very routinely have told the most vicious of lies and inflamed some of the weakest minds on the left into these horrible acts of violence.
Well, that is the problem. You know, when they call people like me Hitler, if you believed someone was Hitler, you probably would be doing the world a favor by shooting them. But that's why you don't call people Hitler who aren't. And so the problem is that you've got this radicalization on the left from many of those leaders that send signals to these lunatics that they should take this action. I don't believe that anyone that I served with, even the lunatics on the left, want political violence. But what they don't understand is that when they say these things, they're inspiring their people to behave in it. And I think that is where they bear responsibility. They can't say don't engage in political violence, but that guy's just like Hitler. and they need to stop it because we fundamentally disagree about the future of the country, but my views don't come from a place of hate. They come from a place of love of America. And the problem is the left has just tried to demonize us for years.
But, even inside the United States Congress, earlier this week, there was an effort. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert tried to raise a moment of silence and prayer for Charlie Kirk. That immediately led to Democrats on the floor screaming no in order to upend it. What is it like to work in a building like that where you have people who can't even demonstrate basic human decency in the wake of a tragedy like this?
Well, I mean, just so you know, we actually did have a moment of silence and everyone did participate. And Lauren's comments came after that was over. But I will tell you, whereas we were in tears on our side of the room, it sort of felt generally like another day at the office for Democrats. And not for all of them, but for many of them. And I don't know that they understand the impact of this. When you can't settle your differences with words, you're going to settle them with guns. And this has happened in our history before. The American Revolution is a great example of it, where subjects couldn't agree and we devolved to violence. They don't understand what they're doing.
Right, and that's what Charlie Kirk was trying to stop. He didn't want revolution. He wanted the country to come together in dialogue. But just give me some clarity on this. So there was a moment of silence in the House, and everybody was quiet. But then Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, as I understand it, she tried to raise. Are you telling me another moment for prayer? And it was at that moment Democrats were like, "No, we've already done enough. We shouldn't engage in another moment."
So the sequence was the speaker from the rostrum asked for a moment of silence. Everyone, you couldn't hear a peep. Everyone participated. As far as I could tell, it's a big room. Right. Everyone stood up, gave a moment of silence. When that was over, from her seat, not near a microphone, Lauren yelled out and basically said, I want us to say a prayer, like not just a moment of silence. She wanted a prayer. Okay. I don't know if she was going to give the prayer, if all 435 people were going to give a prayer. It wasn't really clear. And then the Democrats reacted badly to that.
That's insane. Why would they do that? I mean, what's the point? It's like, so somebody raised a prayer, and do they not even realize what that looks like? It looks like you just don't care, which is, of course, that's the impression you leave the rest of us with.
Look, I would say we had just found out literally minutes before that Charlie had died, and feelings were very, very raw, and you would hope that people would have some grace in that situation. I didn't know him, but many of my colleagues did and considered him a friend. Yeah. And he died in the most horrific way possible. And it would have been nice to see some more grace extended in that moment.
100%. Congressman, what do you anticipate for our country in the wake of all of this?
Well, I'm very concerned. I am not optimistic. I mean, again, we have had effectively 2 civil wars in this country where people could not settle their differences with words. The American Revolution was a civil war between British subjects that our side won. And obviously the Civil War, 80 years later, came from that same inability to resolve our differences. Yeah. I fear that is where the left is. I saw some polling results that said a majority of Democrats do not feel badly when people they disagree with are killed. And that's very, very troubling. And I think we all need to be afraid for the future of our country, because I don't know how we climb back from here if the other side is not willing to absolutely and totally repudiate it. Now, some have. I mean, I even watched a video by Bernie Sanders, of all people, who was very clear and forceful and said, this is not okay. But I think then I saw a video from Ilhan Omar where we got a lot of, well, he didn't like Juneteenth, sort of implying that, you get what's coming. And so I think we have a problem. And Democrats.
And we've been describing this accurately as an assassination culture that exists on the left. If a majority of your base could excuse, as they said earlier this year in a poll released in April, 55% of their base said that they would excuse the death of Donald Trump in an assassination. 48% said the same about Elon Musk. You clearly have a rampant assassination culture that needs to be stopped. And the reason people arrive at that is because their information sources keep dumping this kind of poison into their minds. And I wonder, Congressman, what can be done about these major media operations who keep telling these lies at the expense of human life in the end? Because You know, look at what happened with Fox News. Fox News was sued over some dispute in the 2020 election. They paid the biggest settlement in media history. Why isn't NBC being sued into the dirt for what they say on their air?
Well, actually, it's more than lies. Sometimes they are telling the truth. So they will say, for example, that people like Randy Fine oppose what I call the butcherization of children. That's the truth. I do oppose that. The problem is they believe that they are so right in their views that violence is legitimate. That is what we are dealing with, is a ideology that believes they are so morally superior that advancing their view by any means necessary is acceptable. And so the issue is not telling the truth or the lies. The issue needs to be, you can't kill people that you disagree with. Their views are legitimate too. And by the way, the most you can say is they may be delusional, but you shouldn't be able to say you should then kill them. And they do believe that. Many, not all, but many of them believe that advancing their ideology by any means necessary is acceptable. And that's how you end up with people getting killed.
It's also a sign of the weakness of their argument. They don't want to have one because they know they'll lose. Congressman Randy Fine, thank you for joining us today. I know it's a busy breaking news day. Appreciate your contribution to it, sir.
Happy to talk.
All right, there he is, Congressman Randy Fine from Florida. Glad to have him stop by today reacting to this. Congressman Fine, for those of you maybe joined us a little bit into the interview, he started it by saying that he agrees that there needs to be a firing squad execution for the suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He also said that that firing squad should be televised nationally so that the country can see that there are consequences for this type of attack on our republic. We've got a lot, through the weekend, we'll learn a lot more about the details here about the man who went after Charlie Kirk. But I want to end today not on the killer, but instead on the hero of our story, Charlie Kirk, the man who has done so much good for this country and has gone way too soon. Yesterday, we had this imagery, cut 3. This is J.D. Vance escorting Charlie Kirk and his body back to Arizona. J.D. Vance is a United States Marine, now the Vice President of the United States, joining these members of the military, the Air Force, carrying that casket to Air Force 2 for a very dignified transfer of remains for a very dignified man, Charlie Kirk. Charlie's body arrived in Phoenix, Arizona yesterday. Play cut 4 here. Take a look at this. This is the family arriving yesterday in Phoenix.
2409, runway 26 to the line. Clear line 26, Southwest 1565.
Welcome home, Charlie. You didn't deserve it. May God bless your family.
Welcome home, Charlie. You didn't deserve it. The air traffic control tower welcoming him back for the last time to Arizona. Here he is being carried off of Air Force 2 yesterday. Cut 5, the military bringing Charlie's body out of the plane and off to the chapel where he would be held for a time. And then yesterday, Charlie's widow, Erica, in cut 6 here, descended the steps of Air Force 2, gripping the hand of Usha Vance and the Vice President of the United States with them. The Vances extending the nation's gratitude to the Kirk family. J.D. Vance could have been with the President of the United States yesterday at the 9/11 memorial and decided that his job was to cover this mission. And for that, we are all grateful. Thank you to the Vice President. Thank you to the President of the United States. And thank you to the men and women of law enforcement who brought the killer into custody. Now it's time to bring him to justice. God bless you. The best audience anywhere. Glad to have you with me as always. We'll be back again on Monday for another edition of Vince. Coming up next here on Rumble, I believe it'd be Tim Pool. Is that what we have today, fellas? Oh, it's Crowder today. Crowder is on. Here comes Crowder on Rumble.